April Poley from the Wyoming GOP, a grassroots organizer. She's out in Cheyenne today. The great firebrand Matt Gaetz is out there to take the heat, to Liz Cheney. There couldn't be a better example of the establishment than Liz Cheney. So, April, first off, for our audience, we've had a lot of folks on from Wyoming. Why are folks out in Wyoming, particularly grassroots folk, all worked up on this?
Steve, basically because Liz Cheney is the queen of the uniparty, and President Trump called her out on the 6th, and the Trump supporters, we got 70% of Wyoming voters voted for President Trump. She never came here to ask our opinion on this impeachment. She never sent out emails and said, hey, Wyoming folks, why don't you give me some feedback? And after the impeachment, when she just refused to return calls to her constituents. She refused to return emails. In fact, people would call her office and they would get a message that said, the mailbox is full. And her campaign's been completely silent because she doesn't care about Wyoming. She just cares about herself.
April, hang on a second. We got about a minute here, but I got to hold you over. The audience wants to hear more from you. But please tell me, after she voted, I know she didn't talk to you guys beforehand, we've now found out. After she voted, please tell me she had a Zoom call or a town hall. Please tell me she went back and explained why she voted that way.
No, no. Well, she had her press release that she sent out, but she never came back to the people of Wyoming. In fact, the county of Lincoln, as you probably know from having Taylor Allred on the other day, they requested that she actually come back and why did you vote the way you did? But the state party executive board just voted the other day to ask her to come to our next meeting, which is next Saturday, and explain herself. But I don't expect to see her. So.
Okay, we're going to hang on for a second. You're from April Poley is from Cheyenne, is out in Cheyenne, Wyoming. There's going to be an event today with Matt Gaetz. We're going to take a short commercial break. We'll return in just a moment. Okay, you're seeing a new alignment, the potential of a new alignment in politics. I want everybody to get your number 2 pencil out and write that down. I'm going to connect some dots for you. Terry Schilling yesterday about the American family and about this situation with Title IX in women's sports, Biden's executive order trying to crush women's sports by having this bizarre thing about transgender men, right? Overnight, my daughter was sending, Captain Maureen Ban was on yesterday, was sending me about, whether it's bike races in Tucson or whether it's girls sprinting contests. She's having these young boys and young men win these things. It's unacceptable. That's part of the realignment. That's because around the American family. This gets back to this popular vote is also about the American family. Remember, millennials and Gen Z. Family formation is not the old days. It's not the 1950s where you can meet a girl, fall in love, get a wife, get a mortgage, get some kids. That's the backbone of America, okay? That is the substrate that undergirds the civic society upon everything else is based, right? Everything else is based. Remember, when Wall Street comes for a bailout in 2008, they come to you, the taxpayer. When the Cheneys want to send for all these endless wars, remember, I was a naval officer. My daughter's a West Point grad. She served in Iraq. I was over in the Middle East during the hostage crisis. My kid brother was in Libya during the attack on Libya. And we're just grundoons. We're the type to serve for 5, 6, 7, 8 years, punch out and go to civilian life, right? That's what undergirds. Why is there so much anger in Wyoming with veterans and working class people? Because the arrogance of the Cheneys, the arrogance they've always showed, the neoliberal neocons, the ones that control Wall Street, send your kids everywhere, from the South China Sea to on patrol in the Hindu Kush in Afghanistan to Iraq, throughout the world, and her arrogance is what driven this. But this is where you're seeing the realignment of politics in young millennials that have been overwhelmed with the propaganda of CNBC and the New York Times and all of our betters. All we ask you to do is just watch, because the scales are going to fall off your eyes. When I was a child, I thought as a child. I reasoned as a child and I acted as a child. But now that I'm a man, I think like a man. I reason like a man and I act like a man. So said, I think I'm paraphrasing St. Paul, correct? I want to go back now out to Wyoming. And here's the question we have for April Poley. April from the Wyoming Republican Party and a grassroots organizer. We only have time for one question, ma'am, but it is, I've noticed these counties are censuring Liz Cheney, and want her in her arrogance to come back and face the people at your conference you're going to have. But I noticed in a couple of counties they're adding, we want you to resign as a congressman, and we want to have a special election. We don't want to wait till 2022. Your arrogance, you didn't ask us beforehand. You didn't come and reason with us. And quite frankly, after you did it, you're going around now, and by the way, they're showing in Political Playbook today, the consultants are all having big fundraisers for her. Playbook leads with the story that the consultants that are all paid by Wall Street and the defense contractors are all having a big fundraiser for Liz Cheney. She's got time to go to that. She's got time to get her natural constituency. They're not the working class people out in Wyoming. They're not the families that sent their sons and daughters in these wars to die. They're not the veterans out there. They're not the ranchers and the hardworking Americans and the epitome of and everybody looks at the Wyoming GOP. It's got both establishment and grassroots. It's probably the most organized GOP in the nation of people working together in common ground. No, she won't go back there and talk to her constituents, but she'll go to her real constituents are the lobbyists on Wall Street, the lobbyists in Washington, D.C. and K Street. Raheem Kassam.
Akin Gump, J.P. Morgan, S3 Group, and Rose Strategies.
This is not Bannon and the War Room crazies. This is Politico saying, and they're telling you who her constituents. She got plenty of time to go to them. You know what she's going to tell them? Don't worry about what's out in Wyoming. I'm still in leadership. Where are you, McCarthy? Don't be going down to Mar-a-Lago and begging for forgiveness for everything you've screwed up with President Trump. The first question ought to be, why is Liz Cheney still in leadership? There's 107 votes to get rid of her. Why are you sitting there saying, we shouldn't be saying bad stuff against each other? We shouldn't be saying bad stuff against each other. No, we should be saying the truth about each other, and she should be out of leadership, and then the folks in Wyoming can deal with her. April. Is it more than a censure? Are the people in Wyoming worked up enough that they want her to resign, and they want her to resign now?
I think so. I think today is going to be very reminiscent of the tax day tea parties we held in 2009, which was really exciting. I know at my tea party that I helped organize, we had about 500 people, and we're expecting about the same today at the Matt Gaetz event. And from my point of view and from the team that I'm working on, it's a lot of the same people that I worked with the Tea Party in 2009, so it's really cool. We kind of feel like it's a Tea Party reunion.
April, how do people? What are your social media coordinates? How do people follow you during the day and follow you going forward? Because the populist streak out there, I think, is going to lead this nation, and I couldn't be prouder of what you folks in Wyoming are doing. How do people follow you?
Well, we'll be posting today from the event on Senator Anthony Bouchard's Facebook page. I'll post pictures. I'll probably post some videos. But that is just look up Senator Anthony Bouchard. He's running against her. And then my email is april@anthonybouchard.com. And then you can find me on Twitter, or you can find me on my Facebook. Just look up my name.
What's your Twitter handle?
I think it's just April Poley. I just used my name.
Okay, April. Thank you very much.
My name,
Thank you for joining us. I'm sure a bunch of lefties will jump in there and say bad things, but that's okay. We're gonna change your opinion. Thank you, ma'am. Okay, Raheem. Let's go back to this populist revolt. And here's the thing to watch for: these phony Democrats. They're so progressive and they want to help people. They're giving you tips for you millennials. They're treating you like chumps. This whole thing of the guaranteed income and $2,000 a month, that's chump change. They don't want you to have a piece of the action. That's what this populist revolt's about. Better jobs, better wages, because they don't want the world to have to compete to you and beat you down every day, and to get a piece of the action of the system. You see how much they want you to have of it? You see how much they want you to have of it? How about this? Zero. Here's what they want you to do. To keep your mouth shut, to go into your little cubicle, get on the wheel of samsara, right? Just that spinning wheel, right? Pay your taxes and send your kids overseas to fight in their endless wars. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, I was in the Navy. I was a naval officer. My daughter's at West Point. The Bannons are all in when it comes to patriotism and serving their country. But as to what ends do the elites and the established order want that service for? What Liz Cheney ought to do, she first ought to go explain over to Section 60 in Arlington National Cemetery before she goes to K Street with her lobbyist friend. She ought to go there and explain her vote to Section 60. The area of Arlington National Cemetery, Nancy Pelosi, which is not the Capitol's most sacred ground, as sacred as the Capitol is, the most sacred ground in this city is across that river. In Arlington National Cemetery, and Cheney ought to sit there and say what ends were for the dead, the honored dead that are buried there. You and your family have so much to answer for, and you've gotten off the hook. And now, the good people of Wyoming are calling you to account. Calling you to account. And your arrogance, you will not respond to your constituents. Don't tell me how the system's supposed to work and how this thing of democracy. That's democracy out there. They're censuring you, and now they want your resignation. And they want you there on the 6th to stand and deliver for your answer, not on K Street with your real constituents, the lobbyists that are nothing but the running dogs for Wall Street, Mr. Raheem Kassam.
Yeah, that's right. We can go over that again if people missed it the first time. These firms on K Street riding to Liz Cheney's aid. More than 54 Republican lobbyists are hosting this fundraiser. I think it's on February the 8th and will require a $500 personal donation to get in the virtual door, $1,000 to be named a co-host, and $2,500 to be named a host of this fundraiser on behalf of Liz Cheney. That's 54, they say Republican lobbyists.
If we put up the money, can we get one of the Wyoming? Can we get April Poley? If we put up the money, can we get April Poley to actually show up there?
I've actually reached out to people already to try and get the invite.
Maybe we stroke a check here at the War Room. We get April to show up, and April can ask some questions. Maybe the way to do this, you think that's the way to do it? You think that's a way that a constituent in Wyoming can get Liz Cheney to answer her questions?
Pay $500, get an answer from your representative. And the firms Aitken Gump, JP Morgan, SC3 Group, Rose Strategies, and there are more involved in this. We're trying to run more of the details down right now. Those are the ones that Politico have named this morning. And they're calling this a, quote, incredibly strong showing of support for Liz.
Absolutely. They don't want Liz to leave. Right. Okay, McCarthy, when you're down seeing the president today, number one agenda item for the president is got to ask McCarthy, what is Liz Cheney doing here? Why is Liz Cheney still in leadership? Just let the votes go. It's 107, I think, already. And I'm hearing, rumor has it, sources tell us it's far north of 107. Why is that not happening?
To be fair, you know who did donate to Kevin McCarthy? That would be Ken Griffin.
Hold it. That's Ken Griffin. By the way, Ken Griffin supports the Uniparty.
Right.
What did April Poley? Hey, out there in Wyoming, they get it. What she call it? The Uniparty. That's the permanent political class that controls the city. That's the one so up in arms on January 6th. And by the way, January 6th is not excusable about what happened, the violence of it, right? But what we need to see now, Tom Cotton says, why is this still an armed camp? If Biden's so popular, why do we have soldiers all over the place? If there's real intelligence about this, just put it forward. We're big boys and girls. We can handle this. Sure. I see chatter. You don't have anything. All it is spin so you can get Brennan with the guy looks like a gargoyle up there every day on TV, that big old head coming through the thing on MSNBC or CNN, right, spewing his hate. President Trump, God, why did we not declassify this stuff? You're killing me. Okay, we're going to take a short commercial break. We're going to have Liz Harris got a quick hit from Maricopa County. Want to know everybody out there, Patriots are fighting day in and day out. Liz Harris, a great patriot. We got Rudy Giuliani. We also have Melissa from the Lindell Recovery Network. We had so much great blowback yesterday. We got to get her back on and tell her what they're trying to destroy of the God Center recovery of Mike Lindell. All next.